Welcome back to another episode of Darnell Grant Economics, and today we are moving on to another market structure, and this one goes by the name of the oligopolistic market structure, or you could just say oligopoly. So today that's what we're looking at. We're going to go through the characteristics of this market. We're going to look at the competitive behavior of the firms. We're going to look at the important facts that make this market structure very unique from all the other ones that we would have covered before, which are just the perfect competition and the monopoly. All of that today.
Nice like a fight.
First things first, the oligopolistic market structure is characterized by the fact that there are a few large sellers and many buyers. That's one of the key things here. And because of the fact that you have a few sellers, a few large sellers, and so much buyers, the behavior changes compared to what we would have seen before. So let's list some of the characteristics of this particular market structure, apart from the first one we just mentioned. Another characteristic of this market structure is the fact that there are high barriers to entry. You just can't say enter into an oligopolistic market and gonna have a profitable business. That isn't just happening. The other key characteristic is the fact that for the first time, we are seeing that collusion is possible. When we say collusion, what do we even mean? Collusion is literally defined as the fact that these firms are cooperating with one another in order to develop positive outcomes. That's simply it. You are collaborating. Like how some of you might just say, if you have a end term test, you might want to collude with a friend so that you both get higher marks. Even though that could be wrong, that's a problem there. So that we're talking about collusion. Collusion is cooperation of these businesses in order for both of them to get positive outcomes, whether it be profit or market share, whatever the case may be. In this market structure, you also have the, the loyalty of customers to the particular product. And this is so because of the fact that within this market structure, you have what we call differentiation happening. The next characteristic we have to discuss is called the interdependence of the firm with one another. They are looking at or relying on one another for certain moves in order to know what to do next, in order to know where to set price, etc. And we're going to see that come out in the diagram. That's it for characteristics. And for the oligopoly, what you need to know is that these few firms that exist in the market, they do not sell a homogeneous good, but they do sell similar goods though. The difference between their goods are now controlled by the fact that they have the power to brand these items. So when you're thinking about oligopolistic markets, you're thinking about telecommunications like Digicel versus B-Mobile. If you're in Barbados, Digicel versus Flow. If you're in Jamaica, Digicel versus Flow. Like, these are similar products, but they are branded differently. And because they're branded differently, it means that this firm has control. If this firm has some, and when you say control, we're talking price control, which means their price, the demand curves isn't going to be a perfectly flat line, a perfectly horizontal line, which means it's going to be a downward sloping line. And whether the degree of sloping, we don't know that, but just know it's going to be downward sloping because of the fact that they have some control. This is Darnell Grant of the Winning Granter channel here, and thank you for watching the video. What I want to ask is that you like and subscribe, because it does help the content reach other persons who could benefit from the content the same way you are benefiting now, right? Feel free to share the video with some of your classmates who may be having a hard time with some of the topics we are discussing as well. Also, if you're looking for classes, I do have classes available for Unit 1 Economics and Unit 2 Cape Economics. If you're interested, just message me at the number below so we can discuss how you could possibly join that class. Otherwise, enjoy the content over the price that they set. And of course, the difference in their product is brought about by the fact that they can brand Adidas versus Nike, etc. So just keep that in mind, that these firms are not price takers. They also have the ability to set price. All right? Well, to some extent. Nice. So one of the most interesting things about the oligopolistic market is actually the diagram. This market structure is literally characterized by the fact that the demand curve is kinked. There is a literal bend in the demand curve. Why is that? Because in this market, there are two different elasticities along the same demand curve. Why is that so is the question. So follow me to open board. Let's explain this thing, all right? So as you can see here, you have your typical PQ price quantity, you have your, oh, let me label this one time. You have your AR curve, and AR is also equal to demand. Then you're gonna have your MR curve, and of course you have two varying MC curves. Note, this is the MC of the same, this is the same firm. We're just showing two different possible cost structures for this particular firm, right? So what this particular market structure, why this is interesting, because due to the fact that you are all operating, you are up based on the fact that you are operating in a market where there are few large sellers. No one really actually wants to set price by themselves. What do I mean? I mean they collude in order to set price. You look at whoever is the market leader, or maybe there is a meeting and they actually decide what to sell their particular commodities at, because these firms prefer to compete with everything else, just not price. We would brand, we would advertise, we would have sales tactics, whatever it is, but we're not competing on price. Price must remain what it is. That's the key part here. And because of the fact that they are colluding with one another, it brings about a price rigidity where, okay, so at P star, if that is the market price and everybody's good there, and you just decide, you say, well, boy, I feel I want to make more money and I'm going to decrease my price. What's going to happen in that instance? You realize that the part of the demand curve where the price is decreased, it's very inelastic, meaning that if you decrease price, you're going to get little to no change in the quantity demanded for this particular product. But why? Once you do that, essentially everybody is going to be like,
Make the circle, let's go, get cracked. Make the circle, make a circle. Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up.
And when they are like, when they're being like that, they are literally going to follow you there. They are going to decrease price as well. So if you thought the price was at $20 and you're going to decrease your price to 10 and you're going to make a lot of money, in fact, everyone else is just going to decrease their price to 10 as well. If that's what you want to do, we could go there, no problem. And on the other end of it, if you are going to increase your price higher than P star, what do you realize is going on with that demand curve there? It's elastic or inelastic. And if you told me elastic, you are right. Any upward change in price causes a great reaction in quantity demanded, because of the fact that no one else is going to follow you there as well. Essentially, they're going to be like,
Fight back! Fight back!
but in this instance, they are just watching you increase your price, leaving you on your own while their price is still very much low, and they're able to probably sell more product than they would have if you didn't increase your price. So it's very interesting that firms choose to not move their price outside of this point right here. They want to keep it up. We don't want a price war. We want to keep everything irie. We'll compete with other things. And of course, in order to determine where you're going to produce, our same MC is equal to MR rule applies, right? So where MC cuts MR, you get your profit maximizing quantity, and you interpolate that straight up to the demand curve to get your price. But what we're showing here with these two curves is that even though, right, this firm could have two different cost structures, they can move from MC1 to MC2, they are not going to change price in accordance with that. Because in a previous market structure with monopolies, anytime you had a change in MC, you had a change in profit maximizing quantity, and that would have changed the price. But not in this instance. Firms are not going to shift their price regardless of whether their MC curve goes up or down. Once they're making above normal profit, do not change the price, because it's going to result in a price war, and most likely that's not going to be favorable to you. This is literally how the diagram for the oligopolistic works. You have the super elastic portion, you have the inelastic portion, you have the MR curve, which is split into two. Technically, I just try to imagine that the MR curve is actually here, right? So as you realize, where MC1 cuts this, it cuts it right here, which means Q star is the quantity. At MC2, when you use that one and it cuts the MR curve in its imaginary position here, Q star is still the quantity, and as such, P star is always going to be the price. This market structure diagram epitomizes the fact that they are dependent on one another, and the fact that prices are very rigid once there is collusion happening. As we said, in this market structure, you have a lot of differentiation and marketing occurring because you're not competing with prices. This is supposed to be a very short video because of the fact that we have already built up so much knowledge in our previous market structures. And that's the thing about the oligopolistic market structure. You need to remember the characteristics, the high barriers to entry, the collusion, the fact that there is the high product differentiation occurring in this market structure, few large sellers, many buyers, unlimited amounts of buyers, etc. Keep it in mind. Understand that this market structure has a king demand curve, elastic and elastic portions, and we're just seeing that prices are rigid such that any change in MC wouldn't result in a change in the price that is charged by the firm due to the fact that they have a king demand curve. As we saw in the diagram, even if you moved MC, the price was still going to be the same, and that shows you the rigidity of it. That's it from me. See you all on the next episode, where we should go through the last market structure called monopolistic competition.
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?